Welcome, age of vintage society. Loretta Young is among the very few model Hollywood actresses you can describe as an all-round success. She was stylish and glamorous to match her boisterous nature, which fans secretly admired. Great beauty she was, growing from an innocent child acting in one of the celebrated Hollywood stars of her time. Her uniqueness was above board, especially with her epic secrecy of motherhood, a love child, which she carefully kept like a will in what would later be known as the mother of all scandals. Why Loretta Young had to live with a mortal sin secretly. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Believe it or not, the fact remains that Loretta Young had lots of fans who were smitten by her astonishing beauty and self-confidence, especially male co-stars, who desperately sought her attention but never get her eyes, for a reason best known to her. Interestingly, this category of followers would be surprised to hear that this goddess of splendour decided to keep sealed lips about her love child, which was a product of an encounter with Clark Gable, and had to devise a special way to get the child incorporated into her family. Although seen by critics as one of the biggest scandalous cover-ups of classic Hollywood, this Academy Award-winning actress, whose career spanned between 1917, then as a child actor, up to 1994, is surely one of the notable figures of the silent era and the later part of the entertainment industry. Young was a motivating force in her films because of her unique acting skills. Her infectious charisma kept thousands of Americans glued to their TVs in what appeared to be her latter reign, her epic TV show, The Loretta Young Show, which was massively groundbreaking. It became a hit program that made her a choice talent to watch in most homes in the 50s. After appearing on screen at the age of 3, Young made more than 100 movies before she turned 40. When she changed to the new medium of television shows in that spectacular anthology series, it did not take time before the awards and accolades started rolling in. She took home 3 Emmy Awards with a successful rerun on daytime TV, which also aired as a syndicated series. Indeed, 1953 up to 1961 was no doubt synonymous with Loretta Young's fame. She was loved to the extent that her name resonated in the mainstream populace, including years she was neither active nor in the spotlight. But why would she keep such a secret from her beloved child for such a long time? It is believed that Young was genuinely influenced by her strong religious background and tough parental shield, but some think that the circumstances that resulted in her pregnancy at the time may have been the reason she hoodwinked everyone. Does this also mean that she still found her way around wild romances, regardless of her public portrayal of innocence? It was said that Young had an unnecessary romantic encounter with Gable that resulted in pregnancy, but she kept it undisclosed. Did many see her as a hypocrite against what they thought she ought to be? Recall also that when news went viral that Young had separated from her husband, Grant Withers, within a few months of marriage, and began what a particular media report described as the gayest divorcee, the same questions were raised by critical fans. Young was often emotionally irrational, or so it seems, as a 1932 publication that described her life after the divorce had discreetly suggested. She would appear moody for weeks when she wanted and fancies herself the lonesome Garbo type. But sooner she would be with another lover, despite declaring that she would not. She just can't help it. More often, rumours portray her as one who is always smitten with an actor, only for the actor to marry someone else. After trending within the gossip circle, Young was labelled a woman of great beauty and superior emotion, whatever that means. A writer went ahead to assert that she is currently out of love and hard to date. Was she that hard to get? That was what she made everyone believe until she started frolicking with Spencer Tracy, who was married to another woman, but in a temporal separation at the time. But in all her personal and marital circumstances, Young did not lose focus on her career, as she equally returned to the small screen within the 1980s and still earned a Golden Globe medal for her role in Christmas Eve in 1986. Let's get to know her better to understand what happened exactly. She was born on 6th of January 1913 as Gretchen Young in Salt Lake City, Utah. She was a renowned American actress, but of Luxembourgish descent. Her parents are Gladys and John Earl Young. Coming from a dedicated Catholic background, Young during her confirmation took the name Michaela. Unfortunately, she was just 2 when her parents got estranged. A year later, her mother relocated with her to Hollywood, alongside her 2 sisters, Polly Ann and Elizabeth Jane, Sally Blaine, where they all began child acting as little beauties. But of the 3 little angels, big success found young Gretchen compared to her sisters. Making her initial film appearance in the soundless film Sweet Kitty Bellairs, and so innocently then as an infant, Young had a glimpse of creativity. Although she attended Ramona Convent Secondary School, Young was more interested in her acting career. When actress Colleen Moore's manager, John McCormack, saw the promising talent in the girls, he signed a contract, and Moore changed her name to Loretta after her beloved doll. She appeared as Gretchen Young in The Sirens of the Sea in 1917 and adopted the name Loretta Young in 1928 when she took part in The Whip Woman, the year she co-starred Lon Chaney in the MGM's Clown Laugh, before becoming one of the WAM-PAS baby stars the following year. Sometime in 1930 it was reported that 17-year-old Young had eloped with her lover, actor Grant Withers, who was 9 years older. They later married in an ill-fated union that couldn't last beyond months. Coincidentally, they too appeared in a film called Too Young to Marry, released a year after. She also co-starred with Cary Grant in Born to be Bad before her first appearance with Clark Gable in the film adaptation of The Call of the Wild by William Wellman. She also played a role in Ladies Courageous in 1944, appearing regularly in as many as 8 films within a year, and the films she took part in around the 1940s were very impressive and spoke volumes about her career. A particular scenario played out while Young was filming The Stranger, directed by Orson Welles. She was captured in a close-up as instructed by the producer at an important moment in the film, but Young and her director didn't like that. She had to get her agent involved, so she would not be given a close-up, to which a film critic later described as lazy Miss Young having a tough task, being called to change from the starry-eyed bride of the early reels to the woman who must know that her husband is among the most hated of men. Her age-long career effort was rewarded in 1947 when she won an Oscar for her role in The Farmer's Daughter, in what appeared like a peak year in her career, co-starring with Cary Grant and David Niven in The Bishop's Wife. She was also a nominee in 1949 for Come to the Stable, because she was literally on fire in her acting performances. After appearing in It Happens Every Thursday, Young shifted to television, where she blazed the trail with her half-hour omnibus TV series Letter to Loretta, which later became The Loretta Young Show. The show, which ran prime time on NBC for 8 years, became the oldest-running prime-time program anchored by a woman at the time. For her enduring career and dogged performances, Young was in 1988 given the Women in Film Crystal Award, announcing her as one of the outstanding women who displayed excellence in their career and helped enlarge the role of women in the industry. She earned 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for television 6135 and motion pictures 6100 at Hollywood Boulevard. While exceeding in her career, Young was also nurturing her private life. When her marriage with Withers was annulled, she had a remarkable romantic relationship with actor Spencer Tracy sometime, even though he was married to Louise Tracy. But in 1940 she went in with producer Tom Lewis in a union that produced 2 boys, but were said to have divorced resentfully. She also had a love relationship with actor Glenn Ford in the 1970s. It was not until 1993 that Young married her 3rd husband, a fashion designer, Jean-Louis. The 2 stayed together until he died. But very unique among her love life is one with Clark Gable. It was brief but weighty in some way. Reports have it that during the production of the 20th Century Pictures film The Call of the Wild in 1935, the two featured as the romantic leads. Her beauty-obsessed Gable, who was 34 and married to Maria Rhea Langham at the time, while Young was 22. The two had an unplanned encounter that later resulted in pregnancy. It was not clear what transpired between the two, but the movie location was cut off by snow, which probably amplified the romantic feeling between Young and co-star Gable. She appeared very indifferent about his advances, but Gable kept chasing her around. "Where's my girl?" he would say each time he was looking for Young. At the time, rumours went around Hollywood that Gable had made another capture as they saw the way he was tailing Young. But Young, unfortunately, was still heartbroken about Tracy, whom she loved so much. Referring to her lifestyle then, Young was in a 1950 Hollywood magazine article quoted as saying, "I was only a careless youngster at the time, waiting for the messenger boy on snowshoes to bring the mail in which I thought there might be a letter from a lad. I was deeply interested." It was said that after Young and Gable finished the film production, the rumours of their affair continued in the media, even as Gable was famous for illicit romances with different women while he was married. About a month after, Gable's wife Rhea had invited Young to a party that she hosted, hoping she would show up, not just because it would help reduce the gossip, but because she was thinking at the time that Young may have been pregnant. Knowing that pregnancy at the time will be both disastrous for her career and that of Gable, and too that 20th Century Pictures will not hesitate to get her to do an abortion if they found out about the pregnancy, Young decided to take the issue home to her family, and as Catholic faithful, abortion was not an option. Young was said to have cried secretly in her room. How could this be happening just that one time? She had asked rhetorically. It was Sally, her sister, who recalled telling her that her menstrual cycle might be playing a trick and had advised her to get a massage, but unfortunately it wasn't. After overcoming the initial shock, Young's mother assisted with a plan after the pregnancy was confirmed by a private physician, Dr. Halloran, who also joined in the secrecy and discretion during child delivery. So her mothers and her sisters agree with the idea that she later implemented. The arrangement was for the baby to be born secretly and then to leave behind the baby to be adopted later. So as the pregnancy grew, she went on compulsory leave in England. She returned to California, granted an interview from a bed covered with a blanket, and stated that her long absence was due to an inherited condition. After giving birth to a daughter named Judy, the child was taken to an orphanage and secretly taken care of within the initial 19 months of her life, before returning to her mother, after Young claimed to have adopted her while married to Tom Lewis. But like they say, blood is thicker than water, as Judy became the female version of Gable, with a close resemblance even as she grew up bearing Lewis's name. All of the years of her career, Young had to live with the rumours of her being unfaithful and thin-skinned in her marriages. Among the rumours was the true parentage of Judy. The double-dealing gossips had circulated within the entertainment circle for years, but she never said yes or no about any of those gossips, just as Gable did not acknowledge responsibility for Judy either. As such, Judy was kept in the dark about her biological father for several years. When she turned 31, Judy Lewis was said to have sought for an explanation from Young about the rumours of her true parents. Young had told her secretly that she is her mother, but would not reveal the father because her birth, according to Young, was a walking mortal sin. Everything stayed that way, as no more questions were asked, but in 1999, when Young spoke with Joan Wester Anderson, who wrote her biography, Young confirmed to her that Judy Lewis was her biological child, and that Gable was responsible, following an unnecessary romantic encounter with him years back. Young also added that the information must remain classified until after her death. It was Linda Lewis, the wife of Young's son, Christopher, who first spoke publicly about this in 2015. She recalled that in 1998, then 85, Young had confided in Judy Lewis that Gable is her father. Interestingly, Linda Lewis hinted that everyone in the family kept quiet about the information until both Young and Judy Lewis had died. Critics think Young did not do much of a wrong by concealing such information from her beloved daughter, because she was simply doing what most women would have done over the years, although, like most Hollywood stars, Young was also a flirt, but was modest in her lifestyle. Fortunately, Loretta Young is one of those who loved open admiration and exploited it, based on what she hinted at several years later. She had been told that in movies it's not wrong, provided that everyone kept their boundaries. Loretta Young died on the 12th of August 2000 in Santa Monica, California, as a result of ovarian cancer. Linda Lewis had recalled Young telling her that every movie performance requires some element of falling in love with a co-star, and that the information made her quickly browse through her old films to see for herself. She also added that by chance she watched one of her 1945 films with her husband, Chris Lewis, who would pause the movie at some point to show her a scene Young was beautiful, inexpressive, or hilarious. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. There is no end of the secrets vintage Hollywood couples keep. Watch this video and find out why Anna Cashfee stated Marlon Brando ruined my life.